Indonesia, a land of vibrant life, is also a land shaped by immense geological forces. It sits astride the Pacific Ring of Fire, a zone of intense volcanic and seismic activity. On the island of Sumbawa, a volcano slumbered. Mount Tambora, a towering giant, had been quiet for centuries. But in 1815, this peaceful giant would awaken with a roar that would echo around the world. The eruption of Mount Tambora was a cataclysm of unimaginable scale. Beginning in April 1815, the mountain rumbled to life with a series of ever-increasing explosions. Ash and smoke billowed into the sky, darkening the skies over Sumbawa and neighboring islands. The ground trembled, and the air crackled with static electricity. Then, on the evening of April 10th, the volcano unleashed its full fury. The eruption reached its peak with a deafening explosion that tore through the night. Pyroclastic flows, rivers of searing ash and debris, cascaded down the slopes of the volcano, incinerating everything in their path. The sound of the eruption was heard thousands of miles away, a testament to the sheer power of the event. The immediate vicinity of Mount Tambora was transformed into a desolate wasteland. Pyroclastic flows reaching temperatures of over 1,000 degrees Celsius incinerated everything in their path. These deadly avalanches of hot gas and volcanic debris raced down the slopes of the volcano at speeds of up to 100 kilometers per hour. No living thing could survive their passage. The eruption ejected an estimated 150 cubic kilometers of volcanic material into the atmosphere. This massive outpouring of ash blocked out the sun, plunging the region into darkness. On Sumbawa and neighboring islands, day turned to night. Ash fell like snow, blanketing the landscape in a thick layer of grey powder. The air became thick and unbreathable, choking those who had survived the initial blast. The eruption also triggered a series of tsunamis that ravaged the coasts of surrounding islands. Coastal villages were inundated and ships were tossed about like toys. The kingdom of Tambora, which once flourished on the slopes of the volcano, was completely destroyed. The eruption of Mount Tambora had a profound impact that extended far beyond the shores of Indonesia. The massive amount of volcanic material ejected into the atmosphere had a global reach, affecting weather patterns and climate across the planet. The fine ash particles, lofted high into the stratosphere, were carried by winds to every corner of the globe. As the volcanic ash spread through the atmosphere, it created a veil that dimmed the sun's rays. This dimming effect was most pronounced in the northern hemisphere, where the summer of 1816 became known as the year without a summer. Temperatures dropped significantly and unusual weather patterns emerged. Snow fell in June, and frosts occurred throughout the summer months, devastating crops and leading to widespread food shortages. The volcanic ash also produced spectacular sunsets and sunrises around the world. These colorful displays, while beautiful, were a stark reminder of the massive disturbance that had occurred in the atmosphere. The eruption of Mount Tambora serves as a dramatic example of how interconnected the Earth's systems truly are. The year 1816 dawned cold and unforgiving across the northern hemisphere. The usual warmth of spring failed to arrive, replaced by unseasonably low temperatures and persistent precipitation. The lingering effects of Mount Tambora's eruption had cast a chill over the world, creating a year unlike any other. Spring gave way to a summer that never truly arrived. In Europe and North America, the skies remained overcast, shrouded in a perpetual haze. Temperatures plummeted, bringing snow in June and frosts throughout the summer months. Crops withered and died in the fields, unable to mature in the cold, damp conditions. The year without a summer had begun. The impact on agriculture was catastrophic. Across Europe and North America, harvests failed on a massive scale. Grain prices skyrocketed, leading to widespread food shortages and famine. The unusual weather patterns and widespread suffering sparked fear and uncertainty, leading many to believe that the end of the world was at hand. Section 5. Famine and unrest, societal upheavals in the wake of disaster. The year without a summer, 1816, brought with it not only unusual weather but also profound societal upheavals. The crop failures and subsequent food shortages led to widespread famine and economic hardship, particularly among the lower classes. The social fabric of many nations was strained as people struggled to survive. In Europe, which was still recovering from the Napoleonic Wars, the impact of the Tambora eruption was particularly severe. The continent was already grappling with economic instability and social unrest, and the widespread famine exacerbated these existing tensions. Food riots erupted in many cities as desperate citizens demanded bread and relief from the soaring prices. The famine also led to a surge in migration as people left their homes in search of food and better living conditions. Many Europeans emigrated to North America hoping to find new opportunities and escape the hardships of their homeland. Section 6. Seeking Answers, Early Scientific and Cultural Responses. The year without a summer, 1816, presented a perplexing mystery to the people of the time. The unusual weather patterns, widespread crop failures, and societal upheavals sparked fear, confusion, and a search for answers. Scientists, writers, and artists of the era grappled with the implications of this unprecedented event, attempting to understand its causes and consequences. In the scientific community, the unusual weather of 1816 sparked a flurry of research and debate. While the connection between volcanic eruptions and climate change was not yet fully understood, some scientists began to suspect that the eruption of Mount Tambora might be responsible for the global cooling. They observed the atmospheric effects of the eruption, noting the widespread haze and the unusual optical phenomena in the sky. The year without a summer also left its mark on the arts and literature of the time. Mary Shelley's famous novel, Frankenstein, was famously conceived during the cold and rainy summer of 1816, as she and her literary companions entertained themselves with ghost stories while confined indoors. Section 7. The Atmosphere's Fury Unleashed, Modern Understanding of Volcanic Impacts. Today, thanks to advances in scientific understanding, we have a much clearer picture of how volcanic eruptions can impact the global climate. We now know that large eruptions, like that of Mount Tambora in 1815, can inject massive amounts of sulfur dioxide gas into the stratosphere, the second layer of Earth's atmosphere. In the stratosphere, sulfur dioxide is converted into tiny sulfate aerosol particles. These aerosol particles act like tiny mirrors, reflecting sunlight back into space and preventing some of the sun's energy from reaching the Earth's surface. This reflection of sunlight can lead to a cooling effect on the planet's surface temperatures. The cooling effect of volcanic eruptions is temporary, typically lasting for a few years. However, during that time, the impacts can be significant. The study of volcanic impacts on climate is crucial for understanding the complex interplay of factors that influence Earth's climate system. Section 8. A watchful eye on the future. Monitoring and preparing for volcanic events. Volcanic eruptions are a natural part of Earth's dynamic systems. While we cannot prevent eruptions from occurring, we can work to mitigate their impacts through careful monitoring, preparedness, and international cooperation. By learning from past eruptions like that of Mount Tambora, we can better prepare for future events and protect vulnerable communities. Volcano monitoring is essential for forecasting eruptions and providing timely warnings to those at risk. Scientists use a variety of tools to monitor volcanoes, including seismometers, which detect earthquakes, GPS systems which track ground deformation, and gas sensors which measure changes in volcanic gas emissions. These monitoring efforts provide valuable data that can help scientists to anticipate eruptions and issue timely warnings. In addition to monitoring, preparedness is crucial for reducing the impacts of volcanic eruptions. This includes developing evacuation plans, establishing early warning systems, and educating communities about volcanic hazards. By taking proactive steps to prepare for eruptions, we can minimize the loss of life and property. Section 9. Echoes in Time, a reminder of global interconnectedness. The eruption of Mount Tambora in 1815 stands as a stark reminder of the interconnectedness of Earth's systems and the profound impact that natural events can have on human societies. From the immediate devastation in Indonesia to the global climate disruption that followed, the Tambora eruption serves as a cautionary tale about the power of nature and the importance of respecting the delicate balance of our planet. The year without a summer, 1816, with its unusual weather patterns, crop failures, and societal upheavals, highlights the vulnerability of human civilization to climate change. It underscores the importance of understanding and addressing the factors that contribute to climate change, both natural and human-caused. As we face the challenges of a changing climate in the 21st century, the lessons of Mount Tambora are more relevant than ever. By heeding the lessons of the past, we can work to create a more sustainable and resilient future for all.